Hello, everyone. I am so happy to be back for season 2 of Kick Off Your Damn Heels. And with that, I have a colleague of mine who I think is just a beautiful individual. Her name is Carrie Montgomery. And I'm going to do your official bio, Carrie, and then we're going to get really unofficial on this because I'm super excited to have you here. All right, so Carrie Montgomery is a transformational style coach, body image expert, and creator of the Somatic Dressing method, which helps women step into true embodiment and empowered confidence. She teaches women to own their true beauty, build confidence, and create a dream image for their business and life. Having worked with New Line Cinema and stars such as Kate Blanchett and Aaron Eckhart, her expertise in film, design, marketing, and wellness, along with her love of fashion, allows her to create a holistic experience for personal style. She curates her client's image, helping women look good and feel good from the inside out. This newfound confidence carries over to her clients' brands, elevating their visibility and taking many of them from 6 figures to 7 figures in as little as 1 year. Her work has been featured on OWN, the Oprah Winfrey Network, Super Soul Sunday with Christian Northrup, Coastal Living, Old Port Magazine, and Hay House. You can connect with her at carriemontgomery.com. No worries, all of her connection information is going to be in the show notes. Welcome, Carrie. You've got a big bio, girl. I had no idea.
Thank you. Yeah, I got super lucky and got super aligned, and everything worked out really well. So
yeah, well,
it was also years of different careers too to pull it all together.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let's get started. I want to know how you work with women that aligns them with clothing and style, because that's not just what you wear on the outside. It's inside and outside and all around. And from somebody like me that struggles with that, I am super excited to pick your brain.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. And thank you so much for having me. And
Absolutely.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. So I love to transform women. So I love to change how women feel in their bodies. And one way to do that is put on a new article of clothing. But that is how culturally we're trained to change the outfit, you'll feel different. And that's definitely true, but there's a whole internal process that has to come to consciousness about who you are, how you feel in your body, how you treat your body, what the energy is like in your body, maybe what your past traumas are, what stories you're telling yourself. So I created a system, a body mapping technique to help you go step by step through that process, to break it down so that it's not all colluded together and like one big mess. Because when you have if you ever had an anxiety attack, right? You feel panic, terror, it's a false sense of fear. It could be a real fear, but usually it's a false sense of fear building up and up and up and up. And it's clustered with energy and emotions and a story. Yeah. But when you're in it, you have no idea what's going on. It's really hard to break it down. So I've gone through enough health experiences to start to learn how to separate parts of my body out and start to piece my story together and understand how I was actually putting on clothing. And it was a beautiful collaboration between my own healing experience and the women that I was supporting at the time. Just showed up in a way that they needed similar support around body image, body dysmorphia, just feeling overweight and actually not being overweight, or being underweight and malnourished, or just not feeling confident in their skin. So I created a technique to adorn clothing so that it supports yourself, your body. So it supports how you feel in your body with a conscious way of being. You understand how you're feeling, so you know what fabric to choose and what shape the clothing should be. Very different than, I'm an apple-shaped body and I need to wear this specific cut of clothing so that, I look good.
I can hide all my rolls and I can do this stuff, right?
Right, because so that society can say that I look skinnier. And it's like, you may not feel like doing that. You may need a really long flowing dress because your body's so exhausted. You just need to release all that energy.
Well, that's a really interesting way to look at it, because clothes have always been functional for me, like
Mhm.
hiding for me, or I don't know, like I've never been able to like attach myself to clothes that I can feel really awesome in. And I'm guessing that a lot of the women who are listening to this feel the same way. And when you talk about anxiety and things like that, like this, you're speaking our language in
Yeah.
here. And I think we overlook the importance of not just clothes, but you know, how we feel in our own bodies as being like the most important thing.
Yeah. So actually I was going to ask you, when do you feel good in your body?
Never.
It's a hard one to answer, right?
Yeah. No, it's not hard. It's never. Like I don't
Yes.
know that there's not a time that I don't think about being uncomfortable in my body.
Right.
Like,
So like either your size or your shape or how a certain part of your body touches another part of your body. Like
yeah.
I know that when I was 30 pounds overweight, which is about 50 pounds heavier than I am now,
Mhm.
I there was a certain roll in my stomach and I literally wanted to vomit every day because the feeling felt so awful. But I started to learn how to put clothing on to create a little bit of a separation that empowered the lower part of my body so I could find support. Now, I may have looked like a little more rotund. Guess what? I was more rotund. Like I was definitely more round. And then I could actually wear a shirt that would flow over that so that it maybe made me look a little bit bigger, but I felt a sense of ease from the silkiness and the flow or the relaxed feeling of the shirt. I didn't feel like I was being squeezed into something, but I had really nice support from the height of my pants, right? And coming up to
Right.
that point where the roll meets. And sometimes I look at women and they may have a tummy roll, but they're wearing low rise jeans.
Right.
And I just want to say, honey, you know what? Buy your jeans like a couple size too big, right? Then have them taken in at the waist so that you have something that's like more secure, but it gets around your hips,
So
right?
this is something like getting some clothing tailored is it
Number one game in style.
right, but nobody talks about that really. Like
It's sad that, I mean, I do, but
you do, I know.
I'm like,
I'm
who's your
from
friend?
Wisconsin.
Your
Nobody
tailor.
talks about that.
So, here's the problem and the reason why it's not talked about and why it's a dying industry. The Industrial Revolution, pre-Industrial Revolution, women had maybe 1 to 5 outfits in sort of like your average woman, right? Your wealthier women, they had so much couture, we don't even know.
Right.
But you look at the everyday woman and she had 3 to 5 or 1 to 5 outfits made for them, custom made for them every year or every couple years until they wore out. So they had pristine care of their clothing. They had high quality fabric because it had to last. The seamstresses knew their bodies inside and out because they had to fit in a way that was fit for society, meaning it covered every little speck of their body so that they weren't quote unquote inappropriate.
Right.
And then you get into Industrial Revolution, and we've had, a couple different evolutions of that. I think we're in the third or fourth right now. And fast fashion has taken over. It's like, get that one piece of clothing, cover up your body, get it out the door. Okay, it is only good for 2 wears, and then it's done. So no one wants to tailor fast fashion, right? It doesn't make sense because it's not going to last long enough.
Right.
And if you look at just a little bit higher quality of clothing, you're going to spend a little bit more, but you're going to get like 10 times more the wear out of it, even more than that 10 times. And you're going to custom the fit to your body so that it's more comfortable for you and you're not having to deal with the baggy shirt, right? The thing that is putting on 10 extra pounds on you because it's not fitting your body.
Right. And it's
I
making
mean,
you
I get jeans. I
comfortable.
buy jeans a little bit too big, and because I have like a, camel toe, I get camel toe really easily because it's just length from my belly button to my pubic bone. And there's a little extra cushion there. And I became anorexic because of my cushion. I was like, I don't want to see that anymore.
Yeah.
So I lost, a ton of weight.
Need to get rid of the weight, which never worked anyway.
It doesn't work. I was like, oh, my life has changed, but it didn't. My psychology was beyond messed up, and my everything was invested in how I looked, and nothing was in how I felt.
Right.
But when I gained the weight back, I was much healthier. Some of my medical issues started to self-repair because I had actually fat in my body.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that I didn't fit into my jeans the way I liked anymore. So I started buying bigger jeans and then would have them taken in at the waist. And that,
Not being afraid of the size, because I think we
no,
get so wrapped up in the size, but it doesn't matter because you're tailoring it to fit you anyway.
yeah, the sizing system is so defunct. I mean, clothes are made to fit everyone, not to fit you specifically.
Right.
And so having your own bio individuality and your own bio individual style can be really challenging in this time because there's so many people can wear the same thing and it looks different on everyone and it works on one person, it doesn't work on another. So it can be a little bit disheartening and I mean, yeah, it can just break your heart because you're like, I don't fit in or I don't look right. My body's not right. It doesn't work. And sizing was created so that way they could mass produce clothing.
When I think so, about 10 years ago, I had lost almost 100 pounds. And it wasn't enough. I mean, it was enough, but for me, it wasn't enough, right?
Of course.
And I was wearing cute clothes and all these things, but inside, all I had was fear that these clothes weren't going to fit me anymore. Like, so you start thinking about all the fear around clothes. Like, I'm finally in this, oh no, I can't button them anymore. What am I going to do? I got to eat less,
Buy more clothes,
buy more clothes, and it was a whole thing that was psychologically damning. And so you think, like, you lose all this weight and you still don't know how to buy clothes, and then you're sitting in fear because you buy clothes and now they're not fitting. And
right.
ugh.
So think of the law of attraction, and how when our thoughts are focused in one area, fear-based, I'm going to gain weight or I need to buy more clothes, that's what's going to happen.
Right.
You manifest that. You draw yourself to that. So when I created the somatic dressing method, the question is every single morning, what does my body need to be as effective and powerful as possible? That reframe alone can strip away fear because you go and you say, okay, how do you lay in your bed as you wake up? Like doing a body scan. Okay, my head's a little achy. My neck hurts. My back is like, oh, so funky and sore. I'm tired. Oh, I have a belly ache. Okay, I'm good. No, my legs are sore. Yeah. I mean, this is my daily because I live with chronic pain and it's something that's I've had since I was about 18 years old, since I had a spinal fusion.
Oh, wow.
And when you look at your body from just a how do I support it way, you take away the fear because you go into positive problem solving mode. You go into what does it need to be effective? What does it need to be powerful? What energy needs to be released in my body? Okay, if I'm thinking release, then I need to wear something flowy. If I have a lot of fear, I need to reinforce and build some structure around my body so I can hold myself up. Or I might need to do the contrast of like a little bit of flow and a little bit of structure. And that's where you get into layering and that becomes really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think about this as you're talking, like sometimes I go through several different outfits before I settle in on the one that I feel okay with for the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like the night before, I might think, oh, I'll just throw this on tomorrow, but that's not good enough in the morning. Like I don't really feel like this today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like that idea of, because I always tell my clients, like, pay attention to your body, but not so much in like, how can you support it structurally as well when you're feeling anxious. Well, things like weighted blankets are kind of a big deal nowadays. Like, so that a weighted blanket provides that pressure, that support that like a little kid might need if they're, unraveling, right? So what about a woman who feels unraveled inside might need some extra support on the outside to feel more calm and centered,
So that's like my great reframe on the power Spanx, right?
Yeah.
Spanx are not just to make you be skinnier. They're a container for support for your body because you need a little extra support that day.
Interesting.
It's not like the idea of trying to change your size to fit into anything is delusional, right? It's society's impulses like seeping into our brains.
Right.
And when we look at like, okay, my body feels this way. I feel scared. I'm nervous. I don't know what's going to happen. I have to do a big presentation. You go, okay, I need a little support here. I need a little extra support. Great. That means I'm going to throw on I use a bodysuit Spanx. So it's not like your typical to the thighs. I have super skinny legs, so it's not something I've ever needed really. I tried it here and there when I had gained a lot of weight. It felt really uncomfortable for me.
Mm-hmm.
But they made this lace bodysuit, which is like one of the sexiest things that I've ever worn. And it's made by Spanx. And I use it as like a layering for dresses. If I like have to go do a presentation or something, or go to an event and I feel a little nervous about it, I will wear my Spanx bodysuit that's sexy and elegant, and I will throw on my badass leopard print dress has a ton of flow and some great slits up the side, and I'll rock my moto boots, right? So I'm going to create the edge that's happening, but I'm going to give it a stylistic flair, not a messy, insecure, I didn't know how to wear my underwear today, so they're hanging out, and my
that
shirt
would be me
unbuttoned.
Yes.
But if it's a meditative practice, it's such a different experience.
I think about what you're saying. And so when I give presentations, I'm kind of the opposite. Like, I feel like I want to be loose and free. So
Yep.
I tend to wear dresses because it just feels more freeing to me. You know, I want to be relaxed, you know.
Again, bio-individual style.
Yes.
Like, that's your physical choice. And
right.
For someone to say that and I grew up wearing uniforms to school, so I was told what to wear. And I learned how to break the rules of the uniform to have my own individuality.
I bet you did.
But the fact that like corporate professions tell you what to wear and how to be conformed to their system can be really infuriating, right? It's like, no, I actually want to wear something a little different. So I teach women how to work around the structure that they're given and then step into what they want. And it might be a little bit quote unquote inappropriate, but we have pushed the bounds of style at this point, and a lot. And most of my, the people that still have to wear suits are mostly in the banking industry. So I don't deal with many of those anymore.
Well, I had someone who was kind of a stylist, like an image person, and she wanted me to have and she called it your uniform. That even if you were in the grocery store, you'd be in your uniform or whatever, and
all put together. I look fine
of every time, and I'm like, that is not me at all. Like, if I run into somebody and I'm in a pair of yoga pants and a t-shirt, I don't care. I'm like, yep, I'm busy today. Like, I'm doing my thing. You know what I mean? So I was so turned off by even the language around that. Like, find your uniform. And I'm like, find your box. And I'm like, I don't want a box. I don't want just one thing, I want to feel free wherever I am and confident in whatever I'm wearing, whether it's a pair of sweats and a shirt or, a dress. I don't, so I was pretty off put by that, because I'm like, that doesn't help me uncover who I am, and how I feel in my clothes. 'Cause body stuff has plagued me forever,
Well, yeah. And that's why I started doing what I teach now. I was, styling photo shoots, and originally I was in the film industry and then left that to sales and marketing and got back into styling. And I saw these incredible healers, speakers, authors, people that, they're not mentioned in my bio, but they've been all over the world teaching and doing photo shoots for them and seeing some really severe body image issues. And I'm going, but this person is like a world-renowned healer.
Yeah.
Like, they're leaders. They have like TV shows, and like, what's going on? And, and all of a sudden I was like, what? There's a major issue here. And it's about being okay with where you are and learning to accept where your body is now, because you can't really create your true desires when you don't accept the here and now. because you can't live into passion when you're fighting the present.
Right.
So this is a spiritually sound styling system, or a spiritual styling system. And it's really about finding that peace inside the body so that we can learn to adorn and empower our bodies on a daily basis.
I just love the word adorn, by the way.
I know, it's a great word. I love that word too.
Yeah.
It's not often understood, but that's okay. The other thing, though, that really comes up as you were telling me, the sort of uniform thing, is identity is a huge part of style. And you choose to wear flowers. I choose to wear leather and lace.
Right.
I rarely wear flowers. I have one floral dress, and it's an only sometimes occasion, and it's really low cut, and I don't wear a bra with it. You know, like there's a whole thing around how I wear it.
Right.
But it's really like identity is at the core of who you are. And if you have any confusion about your identity, it is really hard to show up. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to come out and perform. And I've been on this transition lately. So the archetyping system, style archetypes that I created, I originally was a boho warrior. And when I moved to Spain, I could see this like chic goddess coming in. And I'm like, oh, like, I'm totally thought I was going to be like Miss Bohemian girl living in Ibiza, doing all the spiritual stuff. And all of a sudden, like this super chic, like simplified, like nothing too flary, nothing too frilly, really like streamlined. Well, I lost 20 pounds naturally, like just by honoring that side of myself. But I'm energetically stepping into the place of flow, right? And I'm being more conscious of that. Whereas my boho warrior was like, I deprived my nomad, which I grew up all over the world with my family. So I'm used to traveling and it's part of my identity. But because of my illnesses, I had stopped traveling. It was really hard for me to travel because I have reactions on planes.
Oh yeah.
So when I woke up to realizing that my nomad had my inner nomad, that bohemian girl, had sort of died, I was like, we got to activate this because I'm not living into a true part of myself. And my warrior, my fighter, my disciplined, like go get 'em, was just so active, and it was creating inflammation in my body. So I'm telling the wellness story of my identity. But prior to that, I was a goddamn chameleon roller coaster, like tumbleweed, who show up anyway, whatever the event was going to be, I could project myself into what would look appropriate. And I would feel so out of place all the time. Right? And so
I have felt that, Carrie.
Yeah.
I felt that. Yes. This is fascinating.
When you live into your style archetype, you live into your soul's truth, but embodied, because we're going to create an aesthetic around it, right? There's going to be a little bit of an edge. And, you know, some of my clients, they're like, you know, people are sort of turning their head at me as I am a little bit more dressed up. And I go, well, how does that make you feel? And she goes, well, I kind of don't mind. Like, I'm doing what I need to do in my life to get to where I need to go. I'm creating an amazing company. And this is part of the path to success for me. And this is the refinement that I needed. And I'm having the confidence now to do that. But for her to live into that success, her whole entire wardrobe was secondhand prior to this moment. And so she'd never gone out and bought clothes by her own choice, or she'd gone to like, you know, a thrift store or something. Everything was secondhand. She didn't have the personal value of being worth buying new clothes. And right off the bat, when she first started shopping, she went to fast fashion. And I was like, that is not going to serve you for the things that you need at this point.
Right.
And the magical trick for her was Rent the Runway. So she doesn't have to invest a lot in clothing. She has a monthly membership and she can just exchange. And in the process, she can buy pieces at a very discounted rate through them because they've been used, and she's tried them and she loves them. So she knows she's going to continue to wear them, and it's up-leveled her whole entire vibe, right? Her energy and her image. That is your vibe. Energy and image. So the style archetype is who you are and where you're going. So my boho warrior was, my warrior was super activated. My bohemian needed to be activated. I landed in Ibiza and I started to feel this more goddess-like thing coming forward. And I was like, okay, I might not be like the flowy goddess dress person all the time, but this chicness that I have has a goddess-like energy to it. And how I'm present in my body has more of a goddess-like energy to it. And when I'm off track from that, I know that I'm out of alignment. And so my whole goal is to get back into alignment because it's a guide to where I am going.
So this is amazing. The work that you do is incredible. And I wish I knew you years ago.
You know me now.
I know you now.
Yeah. There's never too late.
That's right. I kind of, okay, so.
But this work wasn't born years ago, right?
Well, neither was mine. I mean, we're all in this place because we're in this place right now.
Yeah.
So you have a fascinating story that I wanted you to share, if you would, about how you got to Spain, because I talk to women all the time that have health issues, mental health issues, whatever. And like you, although you made a bigger change than I did, like I made a tremendous change just to change my life around, right? Yeah. Like it wasn't a, and so I tell people, if you want to work with me, plan on making some big changes, because it's not all about just do this small thing and stay put and stay doing what you're doing. That's not going to serve you. So your story is fascinating. If you would mind sharing how you got to Spain.
Yeah. So, oh gosh, like I'll go back a little bit. So I'll give some context. When I left my corporate life, I actually lost my job because I developed a neurological condition and I started having episodic paralysis. So I'd be walking down the street in New York City and then I'd fully collapse. And I wouldn't gain composure in my body for like 6 to 8 hours. So it was scary. I was afraid to leave my home. I spent 3 months trying to sort of manage it. And then I finally called my parents and I was like, I need to come to Maine. I need to find some peace. Like, this is way too scary for me. And I was really fortunate. I owned a car living in New York City. So I was able to kind of, I know it's such a weird thing, but because I was an outside sales rep, I had to have a car.
Yeah.
So I taught doctors nutrition and lifestyle protocols to reverse chronic illness. So I had all the people in my world to help me heal. And I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And the stress load was so high to perform in New York. Yes. And it was completely against my bohemian nature to live in New York City. Mm-hmm. And I was just I was out of alignment beyond. And I was sort of reaching for when I have a husband, when I have kids, when I have more money, everything will be better. But I just have to keep going until I'll find happiness then. Mm-hmm. And I already know that wasn't the answer, but I couldn't break the pattern because the system around me was so focused on that. So it was like, I had to get the Louis Vuitton bag to feel like I could be a part of, this group over here. I had to get this wallet to be a part of, like, when I pull out my money, that whole weird proving yourself through brands thing. Yes. That was it's very demoralizing, right? Now I'm like, don't give me a label. I don't want anyone to know what I'm wearing. I find my stuff very like on the DL.
Yes.
So when I moved to my family's place in Maine, in this cute little town, Kennebunkport, and I spent about 2 years living with them. And I tried to keep up a little bit of life in New York. So I was doing another coaching training. I'd already been a certified health coach and would work with doctors and their patients to reverse chronic illness. And I've been doing that for about 5 years. And when I got another coaching certification, I did Mama Gina School for Womanly Arts, and I took B School. So I had this like year of like, let's rebrand Carrie and like come out strong. And at the end of that year, I almost died.
Oh no.
And I was like, oh my God. And I had put a lot of weight in like moving to Maine, getting healthy, finding a guy and getting married and having kids. Like that was sort of my, I'm just going to be a mom. I was still in the checkbox, right? I'd left New York City, but I was still in the checkbox. Like, this will make me worthy if I have X, Y, Z. Mm-hmm. And that moment that I almost died, it was my 13th surgery over 20 years. And they said to me, Carrie, you will not live another day if we don't take your uterus out. And I had been hemorrhaging for 3 days, and I had like, my red blood cell was like 4 or something. It was ridiculous. And they'd already done a bunch of blood transfusions, and they just said, we actually legally can't keep doing this. You need to make a choice. So I had to make the choice to save my life and lose my ability to give life. And that was a really devastating experience for me because, well, I'd already done 10 surgeries on my uterus, or 9 surgeries on my uterus, and the 10th one was to have it removed. But I had been over 20 years trying to repair it. Prior to that,
trying to keep that dream alive, really.
Yeah, like, come on. My doctor, I had a spinal fusion when I was 18. I broke my back. And so, my body story is pretty expansive. Like this is sort of the riffs of it. One day when the book comes out, everyone will know exactly what happened.
Yes.
They'll know the psychology of it more so than how, because that part is, the psychology of health and well-being. It's a really long conversation when it comes to chronic illness.
It is.
So I'd already had that, and I had a couple tumors removed. So I had a couple surgeries, and then I had Lyme disease. So I had things put in my heart to like get my medicine and all these things. And I was like, can a girl just be healthy?
Exactly.
I lived a pretty like, I wasn't a big partier. Like I just sort of like lived a pretty tranquilo life. And, yes, I was in stressful positions. 10 years in New York will definitely give you some stress. But in that moment of like coming out of recovery, that is how I created this technique. I became conscious of somatic dressing because dressing was the only thing I could do besides breathing. Eating was still pretty hard. Little things like everyday things were pretty damn hard to do. And, I gained some weight, and then I lost weight after the hysterectomy because I was struggling putting food in my mouth. And,
right.
And like, how do you give life to this body that it's been through so much? And, plus the neurological stuff. So you think of all the layering. When I got into a relationship and I got a little bit dependent on him for my happiness and my security, but it didn't really fulfill me. And so I left him, and I got into an apartment for 9 months in Maine, outside of, in Portland, Maine. And I was like, okay, I had a little dog. We're just going to live in this apartment. I'm going to work on my business, and everything's going to work out great. And about 4 months into living in that apartment, an ex of mine called me, and he was like, hey, I'd really love for you to come to Ibiza. And I was like, oh God, like, it's just not in the cards right now. Like, it's really just not in the cards. I got so much on my plate, and, I just left this person, and I'm like, just trying to get grounded. And he's like, and you need a vacation. So come, it's on me. Like, just come. And I was like, okay. So I went for my birthday, and I found a yoga retreat for like 200 euros. It was so weird. It was like this beautiful estate, and it was packed, like it was a full retreat. So she gave me a day pass. So I just did the day classes. It was amazing. A week of that, and I did a quantum healing, and I was in this quantum healing, and like, it was so clear the next phase of your healing is when you move to Spain. And I was like, oh, Jesus, really? Like, come on, I just moved into a new apartment.
Right.
Like, I'm all settled. Like,
no, you're not.
I don't need to move. It was so loud. And every year prior to that, I didn't want to be in Maine because it was so cold.
Yes.
So every year I tried to go to New Mexico, where I'd lived before, or to Southern California, where I'd lived before. I had community in those areas. And I was like, let me just go and like get myself embedded in there to get through the cold. And every year it didn't work. One year I tried to go to Tulum, like nothing worked out. It was just like last minute explosions always. And I was like, okay, fine. I'm just going to put my head down, stay in Maine. I get home from Maine, and everyone in Spain was like, why are you leaving? And I'm like, I have a dog. I need to pick her up. Like, I got to get a visa, the whole process. So I came home, and within 3 months, it just so happened that my lease was only for 9 months. They said you can sign an 18-month lease or a 9-month lease. And I was like, I'm pretty good with 9 months. Like, that's about as much commitment as I can make.
Yeah.
And so my lease was up. I had to let go of the apartment. I hadn't gotten the visa yet. I'd already booked my ticket for October, end of October. And I let go of my apartment and said, if I get my visa, great. If I don't, great. I'm still going to go for 3 months and then we'll see what happens. And I got my visa. And so I've been here 9 months. And this is truly about stepping into that faith in the universe again, right? Like I grew up believing that anything is possible, that everything is figure outable, that you need to take risks, that you need to sort of lead yourself into your life. But when my health took over, I started stepping back from that belief and I started hiding inside myself and was petrified and totally lost faith in the universe. And so this is part of the process of cultivating faith again and letting the world see who I am and how strong I am, or where my weaknesses are, or how I connect with people, who loves me, who doesn't, how that works, the value of connection and all the intersections, how well I do in a new environment, how well accepted I feel, or if I feel rejected. When you move a lot, there's a term of like the places accepting you or rejecting you. And Ibiza was like a red carpet. I got a house like immediately. I didn't have to do any work. I got a phone call. Hey, you still looking for a place? Yeah. Okay, here's my friend. You can have this place.
Just
okay,
all
great. Everything.
Together.
Everything.
Yeah.
The visa, blah, 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 blah. Everything.
Yes.
I brought my dog with me. So, I have a new home and I still have to be hyper conscious of my health. I just did a month road trip and now I'm in a little bit of like step back and rest the body a lot more than normal because my legs are just not as strong as they can be or need to be functional.
Mm-hmm. I think there's risk in stepping outside the box, but when the box is telling you get out,
I mean, it's part of my DNA. It really, my parents raised me to be this way. I mean, they lived in Afghanistan in the Peace Corps. Like they lived in Tokyo. They lived in London. Granted, they did it on a bank's dime. Like it was a way different experience than on my time.
Yeah, right.
But still, like, I mean, they took the risk. They taught me how to network. They taught me how to connect with people. Mm-hmm. And, for the times that I thought it wasn't great that I went to 20 different schools. I mean, not that many schools. I think I went to 7 schools total. That, I miss the longevity of some relationships, but then I know how to stimulate them again here and there.
Right. Yeah. I really enjoyed how you talked about like clothing was the one thing that you knew that you could use to help yourself, right?
Yeah.
It was the one thing. And I think it's so important to know what that one thing is that brings you comfort. Whether it's clothing or your favorite blanket or something, but that's you like attaching to something that's important, to feel better. So,
and I started to make different choices. So I was programmed to dress to be skinny, right? You always want to dress to look skinnier. And
does my butt look big in these jeans? Right.
Yeah. And I have fairly square hips, so I can just look really like broad across the midsection. But when I started to look at the energy of what clothing did around getting dressed, right? Like if I looked at, okay, I have a insane amount of rage in my first and second chakras. I'm going to say where my uterus used to be, there's been so much trauma in there.
Yes.
That there is, I mean, you get on the wrong side of me and you will experience it, right? And I used to light up that way. I have a lot of fire and I was like, oh my God, this needs to be released because this is killing me. This is toxic for me. And I think that the rage really did kill my uterus and a whole other, I'm not going to go into it, but a whole other bunch of stuff that happened medically.
We'll have you on again. We'll talk about that.
That whole medical, losing my whole authority of my body and reclaiming it. This is reclaiming the authority of my body.
Right.
I completely lost authority of my body. Completely. And I looked at every medical professional to tell me what to do to take care of it. And honestly, they can't.
Yep.
They really can't. You have to get this system inside you so that you can be your guide. And yes, I have mentors and spiritual advisors and people that start to say, like, challenge me on what my thought process is, or, okay, I'm feeling anxiety. Like, yes, it's in my diaphragm. Okay, let's go in and figure out what somatically is happening. But I'm on a deeper level now with that. So when I started, Nikita, sorry. So when I started to step into dressing for the energy, for how, not just how I felt, but for actually energetically releasing the anger.
Yeah.
Wearing long flowing skirts, which I had been told that I was too big, too broad to wear that. I looked too fat, right? To do that. I had too much around my belly to do that. And then I'd wear kind of a big baggy sweater. Well, only petite girls can do that. That's what we're told in fashion. And I was like, screw that. Like, that's how I want to wear that. Like, and I want to wear some boots with it. And so I just sort of started to not give a damn, trying not to swear here.
You can swear.
Okay.
It's called kick off your damn heels, right?
Oh, right. Yeah. I didn't want to give a fuck about anything.
Thank you.
I did not want to care what people thought about me. And I'd spent my whole life trying to manipulate my own image so that people would think things were great in my world. When in all honesty, they were not. I was falling apart inside. I'd have days where I just couldn't get out of bed because my body was so tanked energetically, and I didn't know how to resuscitate it. I didn't know how to revive it. Now I overdo it, right? If I go for a hike and then a swim and then, I kind of get too physically active, I know that I actually, because of what's happened to my body, I need to take downtime and restructure and reorganize and change my diet for a couple of days and give myself ability to repair. I have a slower repair system. I take an amazing peptide therapy that helps my body self-repair. Mm-hmm. It's called the Wolverine drug. But that helps me, right? But I couldn't get on board with that stuff before because I was always fighting that I was broken.
Right.
But now I'm not broken. I'm ready to step into no, there's a greater amount of success here and I'm finding the path to get there.
Right. My brain kind of goes in different directions when I talk to people, but I was thinking about how social media plays a role in what we're supposed to look like or do, or camera angles, filters.
I'm having a tough time with social media right now.
Yeah. And I am too. And the other day, actually it was last week, I took a picture with my husband and my son and a couple other people, and it was a full length picture, and I hated the way that I looked in it, and I thought I should just crop it out. I'll just crop it out from here forward so I can look a little bit better.
Skinnier.
And I didn't, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna put this right out there and see what happens. And you want to know what happened? Nothing. Nobody said a word, a bad word, anything. And
nothing.
I'm like, I don't know that people really care as much as I think they care. And so maybe I'll do a challenge of people just posting their images, their full image without filters, without crops, without.
Oh, I did that a couple years ago. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I'm having trouble with social media right now too, because as you get more publicity around you, you get a little bit worried about people.
How people see you.
Yeah, about how people see you. And I have to realize that I just need to worry about how I see myself, and what I want to know about me. And yeah, so for any woman out there, screw the filters, screw the whatever. It's just real life,
It is. And I'm doing less and less professional photo shoots. I wouldn't, before I wouldn't post a picture that wasn't a professionally done picture.
Right.
And
honestly,
I don't want to live my life that way. I don't want to be doing photo shoots all the time.
Right.
I really don't. I really don't feel like that's a glamorous way for me to exist. I think it's pretty damn exhausting, actually. And I really enjoy being myself, taking a snap with an iPhone here and there. Have, friends that can take a snap with an iPhone. That's all I need. Like that's all we need. And to produce, overproduction of photography in this day and age has become a source of competition, pain, anxiety, discomfort for many, many people who feel like they can't keep up.
Yes.
And guess what? You don't need to keep up because it's a pay-to-play game.
Yeah. It really is. This is a great conversation, Carrie. I'm so glad, so thankful to have had that. And so with that, though, our time is up.
Yeah.
Well, I could go on.
I know. This was so incredible. Thank you. Yes. I feel like I talked a lot, but it was so fun.
That's totally fine because this is what it's all about. And women need to come together and talk about these hard conversations. And I think clothing is a hard conversation. Like your body is a hard conversation, you know? So I would love to have you back at some point to continue. Yes. All right. So everybody, I will have Carrie's information in the show notes. Do you want to tell them, though, how they can get a hold of you if they want to jot it down?
Sure. CarrieMontgomery.com is a great place. There's a contact bar. You can see what's going on. I can throw in, I have the Heart of Style meditation. I can give you that, and you can put it in the show notes too.
Awesome.
That's super fun. That's my chakra meditation that I take you through to get clear and like identify those areas of your body. So it's the warm up of knowing where these energy centers are in your body. When you bring conscious to them, it becomes so much more powerful in your life because we can have a little bit more understanding. Yes. And Style by Monty on Instagram. And Facebook is, I don't know, Carrie Montgomery. I don't know how to,
What else could it be?
Yeah.
All of that, all your contact will be in the show notes. So I really appreciate you coming on. And everybody else, welcome to season 2. Woohoo!
Thank you.
All right.
Enjoy.
All right. Everyone take care.